When I film these videos, I always get a rush of nostalgia. It doesn't matter what year, 2004, 2005, 2006, I always get a big rush. And one of the thoughts that keeps coming back in my head is the old fan sites from way back in the day. Now, these fan sites, they were a lot more simplistic. It was nothing like the RuneScape wiki. When you went on there, a lot of times you saw the most basic form of information you can get for each monster, or an item price, anything like that. The difference was times back then were a lot more simple, so the fan sites were a lot more simple. Fan sites are a lot more complex these days. Just look at the RuneScape wiki, but the game is also so much more complex. Even though the roots of the game are pretty much the exact same than way back then, we play the game in a much more complex way. So in this video, I want to pretty much go over the old sites and how it actually looked back in 2004 and 2005. Whether you played the game back then or you have no idea what I'm talking about, these sites, just looking at them, you can get a nice history of the game. You could see how things were back then. And if you actually played back then, it is an awesome trip down memory lane. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video. I'm going to be using a website called waybackmachine.com, and what this is it archives a bunch of sites from way back in the day. It could work for so many sites out there, and right now I'm on the Tip.it website on April 1st, 2005. So when you type in Tip.it, this is the first screen that comes on, and to enter the site, we actually have to click on that middle picture right there. And this is what the fan site looked like from that time. Here, let me move this screen over just a little bit so you guys can see the whole picture. So when we scroll down, you could just see a bunch of, skill guides, maps, latest news, treasure hunting, trawler guide, just a bunch of like old school stuff in such a simplistic manner. It's so crazy to look at. But the first thing that I noticed is that, just look when this was posted, right? March 29th, 2005. Tip.it would like to congratulate Jagex and all their staff on the 1-year anniversary of RuneScape 2. RuneScape 2 actually came out in March of 2004, so this is pretty much a year after, which is now the main RuneScape. It has undoubtedly been a hugely successful year, with a peak number of players online at any one time rocketing to over 100,000. And the number of servers to almost 80. That is crazy. Think about that. We are just hitting that now in old school RuneScape at the release of mobile, but back in 2005, the game was so much more simple back then, and yet 100,000 people played at one time. We are just hitting that now at the release of mobile. Even reading this kind of made me tear up a little bit. There was some event going on where you change the way you look to hang out and just start a freak train, apparently. I've never heard this term before, but they started a freak train on March 19th, 2005. And the biggest and funniest and most nostalgic takeaway from this entire post is that it actually mentions you'll need around 6,000 GP to participate to change the way you look. Now, you're probably thinking 6K, that's honestly not a big deal. That's nothing. I can make that in literally 2 minutes of being logged in. Not everyone was a high level back then. They were probably 12 years old. They didn't have any money to go around. I remember in 05, I got my first pair of black plate legs and I was so excited, and they were like 2K, and it took me like a week to get. So 6K was a lot of money, believe it or not. I can just picture some 12-year-old kid just kind of scrolling through this, trying to figure something out. Like, they're like, okay, all right, I just got some random event thing, and let me figure out what it was. So they come here, click on the random event tab, random event guide. Oh, this stuff is so innocent. Look at this. The genie, he appears and gives you a magic lamp. This is honestly the best random event ever. Wow, just looking through this stuff, look at how he's holding the two-handed sword right there. If that's not old school, I don't know what is. The Tanglevine, that is an old school one. Holy crap. I mean, if you guys thought old school was 2007, I mean, this is a whole new level of old school. Just look at all these pictures. Look at that hit splat. That was the 2004 hit splat. Maybe it did go in 05 a little bit. I don't think so. A lot of these pictures are definitely taken from, probably the beta of 2004. Like, this is how the Ents look like. That's the spirit tree now. I think so. Nothing was really common knowledge like it is today. Like, everyone knows rare items and what they are, but as a curious adventurer, you see items, and the first thing you'd probably do is try to look it up on a fan site and try to figure out what it is. And like, literally everything is just laid out. how to get them, or I should say how they got them, because obviously they're discontinued. And it even had some questions down here which honestly amazed me, like spinach rolls. I remember there were scams saying that spinach rolls were rare items, and in here they actually like, no, it's a common drop from Moss Giants, and they're given out by the mysterious old man. And could you dye party hats? No. Very simple answer on that one. What are the purpose of bunny ears if I can't sell them? To show how long you have been playing. It's so priceless, this stuff. And honestly, I really urge you guys to just take a look yourself, because I wish I can go over everything in this video, but it's just way too much to cover. A mining and smithing guide. Intro to mining. Shows how to mine and prospect rocks. The different type of pickaxes that you could wield. Obviously dragon wasn't even close to existing yet. And the different kind of rocks, the gems, a little bit of notes, just simple things like the mining guild is a restricted area at anyone under than 60. And I remember 60 mining was such a big goal, and it took me like a year to get. The inefficiency of a new player, oh my god, but it's so great. And then it gets into smithing and what ore you need for each bar, and everything is just so simple. But referring to all this, it jogged so much memories. Like, look at the way the chain body looked, look at the way the plate body looked. The kite shields had that like red trim around it. Everything looked like a Zamorak kite shield back then. Oh man, one of the greatest things about this is that there are guides for the simplest things in the world. How to make a holy symbol of Saradomin, and as you can see, holly symbol, and symbol spelled really weird. I don't know if it's spelled differently in other parts of the world, but that's definitely supposed to be holy. And as you can see, this is supposed to be mold, but it's mould. Just, everything was so simple, so innocent. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a 12-year-old wrote this. It really looks like that. RuneHQ.com is the next one on the list. Now, this is from April 29th, 2005. We can see the last post is from April 26th, 2005. And this right here is a piece of history. The quest guide is complete for Ichlearn's Little Helper. That's such an ancient quest at this point that it just seems so weird that, just seeing it as it was actually back then. But the first thing that caught my eye was this scam advertisement up here. I would never recommend clicking on them, but this was like the clickbait back in the day. Make 50 to 100k per hour on a level 3 character. Imagine having an advertisement today advertising to make 50k an hour on a level 3 account. You'd laugh. You definitely would laugh at them. It's just very humbling to see that 50k an hour was actually considered pretty good back then. So the layout is very, very similar to Tip.it. As you can see, everything is laid out on the left over here. The one thing I want to really look at is the monster database. So let's find ourselves a really cool monster that we could click on. Let's find one with a pretty good drop table. Fire Giant. Let's look at that. Oh, okay. First of all, look at that art up here. Look at that guy. I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but look at these fire giants. It even shows out all the models. 86 combat, retreats, no, how much total XP you'd get, how much total hit points, shows you the locations, the 100% drops. These were always so horrible to read, just reading through each one. Dragon Spear, extremely rare. I think half the population didn't even know what the rare drop table was at this point. And I love the simplicity of it. It's just so pleasing to look at, because for someone who's actually played back then, this brings back so many delightful memories. I actually didn't notice this at first, but I laughed pretty hard while I was editing this video and I had to come back. In the top left, I see Wheezy Rose birthday bash. Click here for details, and the link doesn't work. It really warmed my heart when I saw that, so I had to come back and talk about it. Oh yes, the item database, probably the most useful piece of information you can get from this website. Anything from where to obtain the item to the stats it gives. And the most important thing was you were able to tell how much an item was. And now it probably wasn't ever 100% accurate because it was a free market, no grand exchange, so you pretty much always were taking a risk when buying and selling items. One item that I definitely want to look at is the Abyssal Whip and see how much money it was in April of 2005. Now the whip has only been out for a couple months, and as we see, 14 million. Money was so scarce back then that 14 million GP was definitely worth probably hundreds of millions today. So much purchasing power 14 million has, and you even get some other cool information: where found, monster drop, dropped by abyssal demons on the 3rd floor of the Canifis monster house. First time I ever heard it be called that. Gives 84 to slash attack, and yeah, some very basic information. Doesn't even have high alchemy or low alchemy. Maybe people were just too scared to freaking alch it. I mean, I wouldn't knock a 14 mil item in 2005. No way. Ah, yes, the quest guide. Look how little amount of quests there are. Now, I'm assuming this is all the quests up until April 6th, 2005. The first quest I wanted to click on was actually Desert Treasure, but it turns out that came out like 12 days after the date I'm looking at right now. So that's crazy to think that in this database I'm looking at right now, Desert Treasure wasn't even a thing. But you already know we're clicking on Monkey Madness because I want to see what the guide looked like. I have to follow this guide. This guide looks so simple, and it's got pictures and everything. Pretty detailed pictures too. Wow, okay. So the quest guides, I mean, I'm not following it. I don't know how accurate the information is, but it really does look like it's detailed enough to where you wouldn't have a problem. Okay, I mean, I don't remember really doing quests that long ago. I think a lot of my questing I just did on my own without following a guide, but then again, I didn't have a lot of quest points at all whatsoever, but this is so crazy to look at. There are so many different features you could find on these sites from back then, and so many more nostalgic things, but between each site, it would get a little repetitive if I just kept going through them, because they all are very similar, but I really do urge you guys to try this for yourself. This has to be one of my favorite videos that I've made from this era. And it didn't even really involve any gameplay. Just going back, seeing the guides that I used to reference as a little kid, it really pulls on my heartstrings. So I want you guys to let me know which guides you use, which fan sites did you use, and just how did you learn your information back in the day? Did you ask people? Did you have a friend that was higher level than you that you constantly refer to? Let me know how you managed to survive back in the day. Did you figure things out yourself? The options are endless. Everyone's experience through RuneScape was different, and I'd love to hear them, so do let me know. But I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to let me know how you like this one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.